Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to Judah Reigns, and I'm coming to you regarding the situation that has erupted in Mexico. And I want to give you the spiritual angle that's going on here. I have said in many of my audio recordings that the great Satan and the demons, who are real beings invisible to our naked eyes, they're spiritual beings. Although I think that that is changing, clearly we can see that they are being forced to manifest themselves. And we have been told that in the last days, just before Armageddon and the coming of Christ, that they would be manifesting themselves, and they are. But in regards to this, on another side of that, in regards to Mexico, do you realize that there are those who are anointed living right now of the true Hebrew Israelites that you are not supposed to be harming, lest it comes upon you and anyone who looks like you or who is of you? And so in the Bible it says, "Touch not my anointed, and do my servants no harm." And so I want to tell you a story that happened to me. And the reason, and it connects to what's going on in Mexico. So if you listen to my tapes, you know that I had been out of work for a number of months, almost what, 7 months. And it happened last year in July 2025. Now, prior to that, almost 3 years, I had been bullied and suffering harassment by two Mexican women that went unabated. And because I worked in a largely immigrant setting, even when I went to human resources, there were little to no help. And do you know, brothers and sisters, that they sided with these two women, even though one of them was actually, even though the two of them, prior to my being removed from my position, they had got into an altercation on the job. I wasn't there, but they had gotten into an altercation, and one of them was suspended. And so, and then a couple of weeks after that, I was let go. And so all that time, starting in actually in 2024, at the beginning of 2024, because it happened instantly, there was a lot of sabotaging, a lot of, I was doing 10-hour shifts. And so you work 4 on and you off one day, or, you can move your schedule around where you have one day off during the week. And it seemed like if not every month, every two to three times a month, when I would come back from my off days, or I would get called into the office about mistakes and about things not being right, or complaints from the day before. And there would be times, and I had recorded it, that I had did something, took photographs of it. And then when the complaint came, I said, "No, listen, look, this is what I did. Here's my proof." And that the manager would just slough it off, because I was told by another immigrant woman that she was afraid of those two women that were in the office. So me being who I am, being professional, whatnot, but there were a couple of times that I had to let them know, and then I got called into the office for that, because then they would play the victim. So now I have a relative who is anointed for sure, and she's going to play an intricate role regarding our recovery and coming back from the fall of imperfection. But she had warned me when I was a teenager. She had warned me. She goes, "You know what? Now that you know this truth, and now that you've been brought into this and to these sacred secrets, just know that at some point, the demonic forces are going to be turning on you. They're going to be jumping into people. They're going to be nudging them, and your spirit and your aura is going to change. So don't be surprised." And so during that time in 2024, all the way until 2025, really it was like the tail end of the summer 2023 too. But it was that it was like there was no sense in it at all. But what the Most High put into me, especially in 2025, is begin to pray that whatever they're doing to you, that it come back onto them and everyone who is like them. And so uh, that's what I did. And that's what I did. And I'm telling you that in July, when I took my last day at that last job, that's when all hell broke loose about them being deported. As a matter of fact, I had started praying real hard when it was President Trump, when it was the election cycle. And so, of course, he was elected. And of course, in their arrogance, a lot of the Latino people voted for this man. And it was in their arrogance, especially here in California. They're real arrogant and real vitriolic to descendants of American slaves, especially. And there was one that I told. I said, you need to leave me alone because you don't know who you're messing with. And she was like, well, you don't know who you're messing with. I said, I'm very clear as to who I'm messing with. I'm telling you, you don't know who you're messing with. Leave me alone. She didn't. And so the gaslighting, whatnot, I was so happy to leave there, by the way. But it was, I knew that this hammer was going to come down. I remember walking out to my car. I'm like, they did something that they were not supposed to do. These two women, because what the Creator put in my mind was that He can often use the disposition of a whole people by using a control test. He doesn't have to actually, the Most High doesn't have to actually question every single person of every ethnic group or every cultural background. What He can do is, the Most High, he or she can take a sampling. They can use one person, they can use two, maybe they can use three, maybe, 4 or 5, maybe. But in this case, the Most High used two as a sample to bump up against someone that the Most High was directly working with. And the test, when I got in my car that last day, the thought was brought to my mind, they failed. They failed the test. And what they were supposed to do, what the immigrant was supposed to do, was lock in solidarity and get behind us and be respectful to us and make sure that if these people are okay, then we will be okay as immigrants. And they did not do that. And this is why they are facing so much turmoil right now, because the angels were watching. And I remember my relative telling me that. She was like, every time you go somewhere, just know that you have 2 or 3 angels, or maybe even more, walking in with you, and they are judging. They're reporting to the Most High how they're treating you. And how they treating you is pervasive. It is the control test on how all of them are. And those of you who have to do a control test, especially if you're in the healthcare field, that you will test maybe like a urine strip, or you'll test a little tab or whatnot to see if the batch, or if the box or the grouping or the product that you receive is going to work well. And so it's either going to come out positive or it's going to come out negative. In this case, it came out negative. And that's why now it has even gotten worse now, where you have Mexico is actually burning now. And I have visited Mexico many years ago. At that time, I had a very beautiful vacation at that time. I was on the peninsula. I was on the I had the Pacific Ocean right at my doorstep. So it was a wonderful time. And I think that's when where they were allowed to come in droves, you see. But nope, now, the Most High, with that actual, when I went to Mexico, those times I went to Mexico, I was in a resort, and the other one I was in where they have a mom and pop. They owned I forget the name of it. Like they turned their home into a bungalow, so to speak. And they were actually a white couple. That was the last time I was there, and I have never been back. But I believe this is, when I was listening to this yesterday and today, the Most High let me know today, like, yeah, I'm dealing with them. I'm dealing with them. So they weren't the only immigrants that were there. There were Korean, and there were Filipinos. The Filipinos treated me well. They treated me really well, and and the reason why I know that the Most High was using me as a control test was because you haven't really heard about anything happening to the Filipinos. It's been real quiet on the Filipino front. Now that there was a Korean woman in there, but I wasn't sure she was Korean and Chinese, and she was just as horrible as the two Mexican women. And we know what's going on with China. We know what's going on in that part of the world, even for Korea. So there's just you guys are playing with fire, and these are not the days where this white man, this white woman, they're done with their rule now. And unfortunately, y'all wasn't hearing us about it. And the arrogance and being willing, even, and here's what I don't understand, I'll end with this. Even with the violence that many of the military here have perpetrated on so many countries, for the life of me, I cannot understand why y'all came over here thinking you would be superior to us. Or you can act a fool with the very people who actually went up against this government and won, even though they flipped it on us, because it wasn't our time to be set free. But now it is. Now you're looking at a time where we're getting our lands back. We're getting our land masses back. We're getting our countries back. We've already gotten our right, we're starting to get our right minds back. And many of us already have our right minds. We have the right mind and the right heart condition. Many of us know what our true history is. So we're getting our identity back. And now the last thing, so that's the inside work. The next thing is the outside work. Now we're going to get our environment back. And we're going to get it back tenfold. So yeah, I believe, and I'm doing my own little predictions, but that this is going to affect all of the Latinos that are here in California. And I believe that this is going to be the impetus for quite possibly the president to start to move them out wholesale. If not, take over military control over this state. If the flooding of what's going on in Mexico starts to migrate up through California. So, but we shall soon see. I don't know, but I do know for me that this is proof positive that whatever they were doing, and that whatever they were doing even after I left, because believe it or not, you have way too many people in that part of the world that practice a lot of demonic rituals. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they attempted to practice that on me while I was working there and even after I left. So there's something that got tipped off that forced this situation to erupt. Again, touch not my anointed and do my servants no harm. That is the takeaway from this. And because y'all don't know who they might be, that means the whole nation of New Jerusalem, the true ones, the true Hebrew Israelites, all 12 nations, you got to treat them with kid gloves at this point. Because right now there is another force activated, and it ain't playing with y'all at all. And it don't engage in wrongdoing. And it's a force. It is from the Most High. It is from the Creator. The angels are here, and they are here to protect us and to back us up now. We have backup as a nation of people. So watch what you are doing. Watch what you are doing, especially when you come upon a descendant of American slaves. And you all know who's who. You know when someone's from Africa, or one of the countries from Africa or from the Caribbean. Do what you will with them, but do not do that to us, because it will come back on you. It is coming back on you. All right. Thank you for listening.